going to get rid of all the badness, if you will, over the past few decades for the Raiders and set yourself up for the future. It's a horrible job to take if you expect to win, but it's not a bad paying gig, so go ahead and take it.
With an owner in Mark Davis who has continued to make bad decision after bad decision. Does Pete Carroll leave a culture behind that Joe Brady in 2 to 3 years takes over?
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
He did nothing for 5 weeks. So he's becoming his brother. So I don't want to hear about how great TJ Watt is with his 0 playoff wins. And he's the first guy to admit it. He comes right out and says, I've never won a playoff game. I don't matter. All right, at least we all know who the best player on the team is. It's George Pickens. If you don't believe that, well, then screw you, too.
Pharrell, Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid.
We'll see if they get McCain back. Kelly Oubre, Yabusele's been good. Caleb Martin's a defensive specialist. Andre Drummond can still give you, almost a double-double at any point. I can't go south on this team. And now you're giving it to me at 2-1 to make the playoffs? To be in the Final 8? Folks, give me the Philadelphia 76ers to make the playoffs at plus 210.
Betting above the rim. Only on
When the games are live, so are we. Welcome to another edition of In Game Live right here on the grid, making you smarter. It's always an edge here on the grid. I'm your host tonight, Dane Martinez, the spitting statistician, and with me is my compadre, my consigliere, Dave Sharapan. Dave, we got 5 games in the association tonight. We got a couple, like 10 games on ice. I'm going to be relying on you for that, and we've got a jam-packed show, my man. We've got Holden Kushner from Nuke the House joining us in just a little bit. And then in the 9 o'clock hour, we're going to have George Kurtz. We're going to have Cam Stewart. We got it all covered. We're going to be following the action in the NBA, following the action in the NHL, and we may drop in some Super Bowl talk as well. What's going on, Dave? How are you?
Great to see you, sir. Always fun to do the show with you.
Thank you.
Stepping in for Wet, so he's out busy, refereeing, doing his thing. Yeah, he's working. So we're working. We getting Kush was an automatic today. I reached out and said, hey, me and Dane are doing the show. He just said, tell me what time. I'll be there.
I love it.
And then, of course, Kurtz always takes a shift. Cam joins us every night at the end of the show. You're going to be watching the NBA. You're going to be keeping an eye on that because there's really only one game that really interests me tonight. It's on a little bit later. The Rockets and the Grizzlies is a really good basketball game. The fact that the Lakers were 8.5-point game, 8.5-point favorites pregame, I found interesting and went, man, I really think I would take the Wizards. But then I remembered that the Wizards are like 6-37 or whatever the hell they are.
You never want to have.
Is there any number I can give you right now to take the Wiz?
Listen, you said the Lakers opened or closed as 8-point favorites. I'm staring at them live laying 23.5. We got blowout central already. The Lakers are up 64-40. We're not even at halftime in the other game that's live in the NBA that just went to halftime. Cleveland Cavaliers were 10.5-point favorites. They're up by 8 at halftime. The only thing I see is potentially in the totals, okay? Atlanta-Cleveland closed at 235. It's up to 248.5 live. Yes. And then that Lakers-Wizards game closed at 224 as a total. That one's up to 234.5, but I'm not touching it because we got a blowout. I'm staying away from the blowout and the totals. I think Cavs and Hawks might get interesting. That live total now up to 250 because you have 2 of the 6 fastest paced teams in the NBA going. So they're going back and forth at it. They are shooting threes. So we'll see what happens in that one. But we do have 10 games on ice today. So you're right. I'm going to be looking to you for support. But right now, I don't see any edges. I mean, the Lightning, home favorites, they are up in that one. Last I checked, 1-0. Winnipeg, road favorites, they are up 2-1 in that one. And then we got tie scores last I checked around. So I don't see any edges right now, but we do have 6 games on ice, so we might have the goal horn blaring at us throughout the first hour.
Oh yeah, Vinny's ready. He'll blast that goal horn if need be. The Washington Capitals are the best team in the league by far.
Wow.
On the money line, on units, 1. I mean, it's far and above the next team, which is Winnipeg, who is winning tonight. So there's no need to play them here. I really like the Capitals and Senators game under pregame. It's already 3.5. It's 0-0 after 1. I don't think I can advocate for a play under 3.5 even money.
3.5, right? Yeah.
No, but it's a pick 'em. It might be worth a shot if you think the Capitals are going to score. They've been playing dead under games. I don't think there's going to be more than 4 goals scored, but 3.5 is the number. So no real edge there. Canadians have been a good dog recently. They're down to the Wild 1-0 halfway through the second period. That might be worth a look at plus 150.
I see plus 168. And they are at home, and they were minus 120. They closed as favorites, and now you can get them at plus 168. That one could be worth a look early in the second period, right? 1-0 Minnesota. That kind of follows the blueprint, right? Home favorite, gives up that first goal. A lot of time left in that one. I see it just jump up at plus 176. Can I interest you in getting down with Montreal at home, the better team supposedly, at almost 2-1?
Not a bad play. That one's not a bad play. Another one I think's worth a look.
Oh, we don't want it anymore. Minnesota just went up 2-0 in this one. It locked, and the reason it did lock is because the Wild are now up 2-0 in that one. So we'll see what happens when it pops. But I know you, Dave, you like to give me then maybe the puck line in that. So when it reappears, maybe if I can get a Montreal plus 1.5, might that be a way to play it?
Maybe not a bad play, yes. So wait and see. I got to check to see if that was power play goals or not. Blackhawks and Hurricanes up to 6.5 in game. That game may be worth a play over 6.5 even money.
Really?
I mean, it's juiced to the under. Yes. We'll see. That's it. You're right. Okay. Islanders and Flyers are 0-0. Kurtz will be on later, probably to whine and complain that the Islanders are either going to give up the lead or more enough goals, both of which things I think we don't have to worry about happening. The Islanders kind of own the Flyers in the head-to-head. So that one at 0-0 may be the Flyers are on a power play,
to complain about.
And everything's locked. Pause.
All right, so
don't do it.
Let me ask you then, because we do have odds back up for Minnesota, Montreal. Okay, and they're not giving me 1.5. They're giving me 2.5 with Montreal. They're giving me 2.5 with Montreal, but at minus 160. Okay, now they went down to the 1.5 plus 130. So what do you think about that one? Canadians plus 1.5 at plus money, plus 130. You think they tighten the game, they get the next goal, all of a sudden we're live in that one. I'm getting plus money and plus the 1.5 on the puck line.
Almost an always play for a game that's closer to pick 'em. When you get a 1.5 plus money at home with half the game yet to be played, I think it's worthy of a play. Now, is Fleury in goal for the Wild? This is his last trip around the league. Let me just Marc-Andre Fleury is playing tonight in Montreal. Probably a little bit geeked up. I would expect. Wow, he only has 7 saves. They only have 7 shots on goal day. Huh. All right. Maybe put a pause on that.
All right, we'll keep our eye out. We'll keep our eye out on that one. Yeah. Last thing I want to ask you about before we hit the break, and we got our guy Holden joining us in a little bit. You talked to me about Rockets and Memphis, right? You talked to me about Rockets and Memphis. I think that is an interesting game as well, right? Houston, they're hot right now, and they are one of the better defensive teams in the league. They're going up against the Memphis Grizzlies. The Memphis Grizzlies are one of the fastest paced teams in the league, right? And I think that is a big time contrast in styles. You know what I'm saying, Dave? We got Houston with a very good defense, Memphis with a very high scoring offense, one of the fastest paced teams in the league. And I see a total of 238.5. That's 236.5 there at last check. That's one that I'm intrigued by. You know what I mean? Like, style makes fight. Who's going to be able to dictate to who? The defense of the Rockets or the scoring and the fast pace of the Memphis Grizzlies? That's what I think is really the key question in that game.
And I think you're thinking right this one may actually take a minute or two to get going. So pregame, we could let this thing come down a little bit and get a little better number. But I like the over. Don't know who's going to win. That number is perfect. That's that number that stops me. When you get around that 4.5 number, I go, oh boy, I don't know if I want to lay it or I'm going to take it. But I like the over. I do.
Okay, fair enough. So listen, that's a game we'll definitely be watching in the 9 o'clock hour. But when we come back, the spitting statistician and my consigliere, Dave Sharapan, we bring in another good friend from the show. It is Holden Kushner, a nickel bag of Kush, will be joining the show. We are off and running right here on another edition of In Game Live.
So my team didn't win this weekend, but I still did with this app that's taking over the game. Sports Millions Pick'em lets you make quick and easy predictions. Pick your favorite players, go higher or lower, and you can still win big even if your team loses. Plus, the multiplier is insane. With just a few picks, you can win big money. So get on it. They've got a welcome bonus to help you start off your winning streak.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Welcome back in. In-Game Live rolls on here. Dane Martinez and my consigliere, Dave Sharapan. And I got to tell you something. Both NBA games, Dave, are at halftime. Not really much to consider because the Lakers are up. You ready for this? The Lakers are up by 33 points at halftime. They have put up 78 points in the first half against the Washington Wizards, 78-45. So, I mean, I guess the only thing I would say is, do you want to take a chance that, you know, maybe some of these guys are going to be in their tracksuits in the fourth quarter. You know what I mean? We're not going to get the full complement of minutes for these guys in a 30-point blowout, but we will put a pin in that because I am overjoyed right now to talk to a man I haven't spoke to in a while. I don't know what he's doing on the top of his head, but I don't care. We're going to bring him in anyway. It is my man, a nickel bag of Kush, Holden Kushner, representing my guys over at Nuke the House. They are blowing people up left and right, and Holden joins us now. What's going on, Holden? Long time no talk. How are you, brother man? I mean, I want to know how you're doing, but I just can't hear you right now.
Now we can hear you. Give us something.
Now we can hear you. What's going on, Holden? Now I can hear you. Tell me,
two guys I want to hire, but I can't afford. What am I rocking? The best. It's really cold. I'm rocking the Copper Mountain. So anybody that comes out to Denver, they're always going to Vail and Aspen. This is the best place right here, Copper, man. It's a great place.
Okay, fair enough. And tell Kegger, listen, tell the Keg, I love the man. You know I love doing the live betting. Yeah. We can always talk. Don't you worry about it. Listen, there's nothing live right now to talk about much in the NBA, in the NHL, but there are props to discuss for the Super Bowl, and I know that you are getting in early on these because I think that there are some that you got to get right now. They're going to literally move by 5-10 yards, in my opinion. Give me something that's on your card for Super Bowl 59, brother man.
Hey, Dave.
Hi, Bush.
I love busting balls, Dane. I love Dane. I love Sharapan. So I'm just going to go with my guy Keg over at Nuke the House. He's giving out. I'm going to give you one that he doesn't want me to give out, and I'm going to give you the other one he did want me to give. So Dallas Goedert, most receptions, 7-1, and then you can also bet Worthy. I think he's probably 5.5-1 to have the most catches in the game. Let's just look at it. Goddard has been going bananas, man. Goddard has been, I guess, the number one target here in the playoffs for Hurts. You've got a Kansas City team that can't defend the tight end position. And then on the other side, I mean, there's Worthy. And if there's one player whose stock has risen more than just about anybody else, it's Xavier Worthy, man. He's turned into a legit number one. So I'm kind of excited to see this team next year with Worthy. Maybe Rice will be back. The corpse of Travis Kelce. You know, it'll be a good time.
Wow. Kush, great to see you. I mean, immediately I said, I'm doing a show with Dane. I'm reaching out to Kush. Boom. It takes 5 seconds. He answers. I'll be here staying for 2 segments, giving out the Kegs plays. I mean, it's
Kush, 2 segments. 2 segments.
Yeah, you're staying.
You can do an extra 6 minutes. Come on.
Yeah, come on. You ain't leaving. It's just like a Bronx Tale. Now you can't leave.
Get serious now.
Yeah, get serious. Look at the running backs. Okay, look at the running backs. You come out and give out a couple really good plays there, and to go off the primetime guys is good, and that's a way usually to win in some serious cash. But Saquon Barkley, everybody's talking about it. The number's 115 for his rushing yards total in a game. His longest rush is huge. It's been like going to the ATM, though, cashing that longest rush. Is there anything that you guys at Nuke the House are looking at for Saquon? Because I don't know, that number, sometimes the number's too good. It went under in the NFC Championship for total yards. I don't know. Is there anything that you've uncovered, or at least are talking about at Nuke?
Yeah, I would say last week we were all about not betting Saquon Barkley overs, just because when you set something at 125, it goes up to 130. That's just flat out asinine. Yes. You know what? We hit the Barkley longest rush at 22.5. I don't think
first play of the game.
I don't think that number is there. Let me go see if I can find the longest rush. I don't think that number is available. Yeah, it's up to 24.5, 25.5. So listen, when we talked to the guys the other night, it was like, it's Super Bowl, and we have to hit this right on the open. You've got to hit these props on the open. Dane said that at the beginning. So now, if you're going to bet anything, wait till about 2 hours before the game and go bet unders, because the over market is just completely dead with Saquon and a couple of these other guys. Kelce receiving yards, you can still get in on the number, but Saquon, forget about it. You're done, unless you're betting unders.
Let me tell you something. I'm on the Kansas City side because they're hanging Kareem Hunt in the 40s and the 50s. They're hanging Pacheco at like 20.5. I got to tell you the truth. I like the Pacheco number, honestly, because Pacheco's the better back. Pacheco was the lead back. Pacheco's been banged up for a while. And I now believe that 2 more weeks removed from his injury, especially Kareem Hunt is just a guy. He's not dynamic. He doesn't break tackles. And I think that's what they're going to need in the running game. I actually think 2 more weeks removed from the injury that Pacheco might return to being kind of the lead back. And the number I saw was 20 and a half. If he gets, 8 to 10 carries, I think he's going to get that number. But the books are pretty much laying it like he is the backup. And I don't know that that's going to be the case 2 weeks further from the injury, Kush.
I think he's run on a peg leg. Like it does not look like he is anywhere close. Now, maybe the 2 weeks do help. I hope you're wrong, Dane. I really do, because again, we hit Hunt right off the bat at 42.5 to the over. So we don't want to mess. We don't want to mess with that. I'll just say this, that Pacheco does not look like the same guy. And I don't know if 2 weeks is going to help him or not, but for your bets, I hope it works out. But this dude is just, it's not looking good for him. And then Hunt's up to 45.5. I don't even think that's that big of a move. 44.5. You could still bet that over.
All right, fair enough. We got to take a quick break. Here's what we're going to do. When I come back, I've got something to ask both of these guys. I trust them. They're sharp as all get out. They're like a porcupine. They're so hot they sweat steam. I've got a way. Forget about the money lines. I've got other ways to do it, and I'm going to ask these guys if I'm getting too cute. I am not going to bet the money line. I'm going to do it in a different way. Let's see if you guys like it when we come back on In-Game Live.
This guy Ovechkin, how he was injured and missed all that time, and the fact that he's still on pace to pass Gretzky.
I think everybody's rooting for Ovechkin at this point in time, and I think he'll do it as well. So it's a feat that no one ever thought starting would be broken. It's going to be broken, and it's probably going to be broken because he's not going to stop shooting.
Pharrell, Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
We all know MVPs don't win the Super Bowl. It's not about MVPs, man. The only MVP, fine. Win the MVP in the Super Bowl. Nobody cares about the MVP in the regular season besides people that bet on it, the actual player themselves, and their agent that's getting a cut of the bonus money. Other than that, who cares? What do you care who wins the MVP? Like I said, unless you bet on it. Right? If you bet on it, fine. Then I guess you care.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
They have a lot of hopes, and they thought last year they were turning the corner. Even early this year, they start turning the corner, and then you lose 13 games in a row.
Edmonton chipped away, got a late goal, won the game 4-3. I felt like they dominated the third period. They moved the puck on that power play. It was an exceptional hockey game. It went over the total.
Only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York team has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Welcome back in, everybody. In-Game Live rolls on a Thursday night. Dane Martinez, my consigliere, Dave Sharapan, and Holden Kushner representing Nuke the House. I told everybody that I've got a way to play this. I wonder if I'm getting too cute. I trust you guys, okay? Here's the deal. If I was on the Kansas City side, I'm not, by the way. I think the Eagles are going to win the game. But if I was on the Kansas City side, why would I bet them at, minus 120 or whatever? I'm just going to bet Patty Mahomes to win the MVP at plus 115. You know, it's like 35 cents better. Like, I'm not going to – if the Chiefs win the game, it's going to be Patrick Mahomes. That one, I think, is the way Chiefs bettors should do it. Am I getting too cute, though, if I like the Eagles, instead of betting them at like plus 115, to just do the same kind of thing if I believe it's going to be Saquon Barkley? If I'm on the Eagles side, the reason I think it's going to happen is Saquon is going to continue this generational run. So why get the Eagles at plus 115, plus 120 when I can get Saquon at plus 280? I almost think that the MVP bet is a proxy for the money line bet. Dave, what do you think? Am I crazy?
I'll go first. I don't think you're crazy at all on the Kansas City side. Mahomes is winning the MVP. I don't know who needs to hear it, but he's winning the MVP if the Chiefs win. If the Eagles win, though, like it's hard. It's not that easy. It should be because of Saquon, but what if it's because of Hurts throwing 3 touchdowns, or Hurts running 2 in and throwing 1 or 2 touchdowns, and Saquon getting 2 touchdowns and 100 yards? They're going to give it to the quarterback. So Kush would say I would bet the Eagles on the money line to be safe, but I would bet Hurts before I would bet Barkley. What about you?
I would, the dark horse that no one's talking. Well, first of all, let's go to this. There could be a defensive player on the Eagles because this defense is something special, right? Sure. So there's a lot of different options. Could be Hurts, could be Barkley, could be A.J. Brown, could be somebody on the defense if you're really taking a deep dive. So I think if you like the Eagles, just take the Eagles. And then on the Chiefs side, I don't mind the Patrick Mahomes thing. I mean, what do we talk about, 35 cents on the line?
Something like that.
Right?
Something like that,
okay. So, yeah, I mean, I'd be fine with that. I do think the Chiefs are going to win this game. I think that Philly is probably a more talented team, but I'm done getting beat by the Chiefs. It's been 2 straight years of people getting beat by the Chiefs. What are we doing? What are we doing here?
I hear you. I hear you. I mean, listen, there was one point in the season, I talked to a guy, Jesse Newell of the Kansas City Star on my other show, and he told me that there was a stretch of like 6 games for the Chiefs where their point differential was negative, and they went 5-1 in those games. You know what I mean? Between a blocked field goal off the upright, 2-point games against Carolina and Vegas, and a 10-point loss to Buffalo. So yeah, number 15, number 87, they got a rabbit's foot in their pocket. I get it. But Hush, we only got you for another couple of minutes, man. Tell me what else. If you're on the Kansas City side, what else are you thinking about? You got anything on the total? You got anything on a Gatorade color, on an anthem? What else we got here?
You know what? I was joking about this with the kegger the other day, nukethehouse.com. Anyways, I was joking about this. I'm like, let's bet some novelty props. He's like, you idiot. I'm a winning sports bettor. I don't bet the novelty props. He says, you know what? There's one novelty prop that we can bet. There's usually a guy, like a janitor, will take his phone out and he'll record the national anthem rehearsal.
Yes.
And then once we know that, we can bet it. That's the one thing I'll bet.
Absolutely. Listen, I got a guy fired from a Tampa Bay newspaper. Well, a few years ago, he was on our show and joking around. I was like, dude, record it and send it to me in my DMs. He recorded it, but then he put it live on Twitter. He posted it for everybody. And yes, because it's obviously a lip sync, it's obviously recording, and then bang, dead on balls accurate. It's an industry term if you don't know. Okay. Sure. And then boom, Vegas took it down for a little while because it was the exact number. And yeah, I mean, eventually he's lost his job. You may or may not have heard that story before, but I like that. But also, if you know, like Kendrick Lamar's wardrobe guy or something like that, let me know, because then we're going to know what he's wearing, how long, what shows he's going to perform, all that good stuff. I appreciate it. But Holden, if you get a read on that janitor, let me know. Don't post it, but put it in my DMs and let me know. Deal?
You got it.
All right, fair enough. Fair enough. And you got to send me one of these hats. And if you got any Nuke the House merch coming out, you got to let me know about that.
No, I'm a co-owner, and Keg won't even send me a damn hoodie. I mean, this is ridiculous.
We got to talk to this guy, Keg.
I mean, come on. Keg on. Okay. Dave, can we do this? Can we do like a quintuple box of BVB with the Nuke the House guys? Let me get down to, because I need to get some merch out of the deal.
Oh, without a doubt. I think we can do it. Kush, thank you for joining us. The hair looks great. So does the hat. We'll be back after this.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back in. In-game live rolls on. Dane Martinez and my consigliere, Dave Sharapan. Dave, let's go back to the NHL real quick here. The one game that I see that has moved a ton. Listen, the Carolina Hurricanes were minus 430 on the money line going into this one. And what do you know? They are now up 3-1 at home against Chicago. My question for you, though, is we're just midway through the second period, and I'm seeing 6.5 as a live total. There are 4 goals in here already. Talk to me about this. I feel like what I would need is Chicago to come back a little bit, Carolina get a third period goal, maybe an empty netter. What do you think about that live total at 6.5? It is, I believe, the highest live total on the board. You were talking about some 3.5s that were out there live. What do you think about Chicago and Carolina now up to 6.5 with the Hurricanes up 3-1 in the second?
It's crazy because that's how fast things change, right? We talked about this in the first segment, and it was 1-1, and I said 6.5's worth a look,
right? And
it was even money. Well, now it's changing. Well, it just somebody's going on a power play, so it's going to change a lot more. The 6.5's going to be super juiced right now, depending on if it's a Carolina power play that puts them up 4-1. We're going to need another goal, I think, to get over the total 6.5 from the Blackhawks. So just put that one on the shelf right now. Just wait.
Oh,
Capitals and the Senators, though. That's
just had another goal.
Vinny,
I think we just had another goal. Ottawa's now up 2-1 in that one.
Goal horn, please.
Yep.
I mean, there it is. It is another goal. You're right.
It is another goal. Ottawa now up 2-1. Let me ask you this. I think you were just telling me that the Washington Capitals are one of the best teams on the money line so far this season. So what about, we'll see what it gets when it pops up. Would you be interested in Washington? I mean, this game was a straight pick 'em, right? Going into it, I saw minus 110 on both sides. So you got to think, listen, there is a chance here that we're going to get some nice plus money here on the Caps. Would you be interested in potentially hopping back in on the Caps? Not even necessarily to win the game, but you're going to get a good number, and they may be able to tie it up in the third.
One of the big things that I've noticed that's been a difference this year with the hockey stuff is that the 1-goal games are getting overmoved in the second and third period. It's only 1 goal. Oh, yeah. This might come anywhere between plus 250 and plus 3 to 1.
What? Seriously?
I'm telling
on the
you.
Washington side?
Yeah, it's gonna be at least 2 to 1, plus 200 or higher.
Even for a game that was pick 'em going in?
Yes. You will be, I'm telling you, you'll be surprised. You really start watching, there's a lot of movement, and it's over moving. I mean, it's 100% over moving, and there's no justification for that to be that number. But they're valuing the goals, especially with the teams that go to the under, like the Capitals, a lot more. So I think, yes, it's worthy of a play because you're going to get a really good number. I mean, like,
All right, so we'll see when that
it's going to
pops
be
up.
surprising. Yeah.
When that pops up, we will see what happens in that one. That's really the one that I am watching right now. Otherwise, on the board here, you got Tampa Bay, who was a favorite. They're still up 1-0 late in the second period. Winnipeg maintaining their 2-1 lead that they've had since we've come on air. This Montreal game, we talked about that. They're still giving you plus 2.5 goals for the Canadians, but you were talking about Fleury potentially, kind of on his farewell tour, maybe being geeked up. So we'll hold on that one. And then Carolina up by 2 already, still scoreless in the city of brotherly love here. Islanders and Flyers. That one started. So let me ask you about this one. That one started at 5.5. It's still scoreless. It's down to 4.5. I'm a little bit surprised that we don't see the 3.5 just yet. What do you think about that one? And it's 4.5. Juice though to the under, minus 140 to under 4.5.
Yeah, I just looked. I got minus 130 here.
Okay.
So that one.
Well, I'm in the area, you know what I mean? So
yeah,
it's
yeah,
regional
yeah,
over
course,
there.
yeah.
I'm like
absolutely,
right in between, let's say, both of these home stadiums,
No doubt. It's going to move fast. So if you like under 4.5, I mean, if you liked under 5.5, that's a much better number because it can fall 5. But I think under 4.5 is worth a play now. Because if you get no scoring again through the first, let's see, the shots on goal were 10-5. So the Islanders led in shots on goal. And there were 2 power plays, both on the Flyers. Both did not result in goals. So, yeah, make a play under 4.5 now. Nothing happens in the first 3 to 4 minutes. It's going to go to minus 200 on the 4.5. And then when we get to the 5-minute mark, it flips to 3.5. So you want to work the middles on the odd numbers more than the even numbers.
Right.
So under 4.5, and then we could get it to 2.5, 1-0 late in the second period. It'll be 2.5 and go over 2.5. The game finishes 2-1 or 3-1, and we lock up profit no matter who wins the game.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to lock up profit no matter who wins the game.
Yeah.
That is music to my ears. I have something interesting here for you, Dave. That game, Washington, Ottawa, it's been locked for a long time. You want to know why? They have taken the goal off the board for the Ottawa Senators. It is now back to 1-1 in that game. So the reason that we didn't see anything pop up, there must have been some kind of review or something. I'm showing it back now at 1-1. Okay. I'm showing, in essence, a coin flip yet again. Now, what do we think about that one? Still 1-1, 3 minutes left in the second period. I guess the Caps at, basically it's going right back and forth, right around minus 110 with a live total of 4.5 in this one. This is something I want to ask you about because I remember we used to do this almost every night, right? With tie games going into the third period, early in the third period, when we thought about the empty net goal and how that would happen. They are hanging 4.5 in Caps
Plus
Senators
money.
with a 1-1 game here. What do you think about this one?
Plus money under 4.5. I think that's what I think. Yeah.
Okay.
So so we got to sweat the last 3 minutes of the second period. If we get that there, then 4.5 will be juiced minus 120 by the time we get there. So you got to act fast. It's going to move by 5 cents. By the time we go to commercial, it'll be even money. So you have to play under 4.5 plus money right now.
Keep talking so I could go do it.
Yep.
Keep talking so I can go ahead and bet.
And then once we get there, it'll be 3.5, 2 minutes into the third period. So that's right. If we could get no scoring and just stay this way. Now, things are a little bit different.
Dave, they're listening. Literally, Dave, they're literally listening. I hate this. When I make the bet, you know how they do the little spinning wheel? And then they're on some like, the odds have changed. You know how you just said it was you got to get the plus money right now? I literally clicked submit when it was at plus like 105.
Yeah.
It's now minus 110. It's now minus 110 here. So I did exactly what you said, and they must be listening because as I did it, the under 4.5, I wind up getting it now. They let me get the bet, but at minus 108 with 2 minutes still left, I am on the under 4.5. But they decided, you know what? I'm listening to the grid. I know the spitting statistician and the consigliere are sharp like porcupines. They think it's under. Let's just take 10 cents off it right now. I know this guy's going to try to bet it. I know he's going to bet it at minus 108 also. Let us get an extra couple cents of juice. That's ridiculous, Dave. They're listening to us.
Well, be careful because there might be a power play coming up, and you'll be able to get a nice plus price on the under. Because they're going to shade it to the over.
I'm already
All
in.
right, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, we'll ride it out. Listen, they are watching. They're always listening. Thank you for whoever it is watching and listening. You got to act fast with the hockey. You got to act
look,
fast.
now it's back to plus 106. Now it's back to plus 106. They literally saw me on screen on my phone. You know what I'm saying? They're daring me to double tap it. That's what it is. They're daring me to double tap it. I don't like it, what you're doing over there, Books. You know who you are. You know you've got in-game live on the screen in the war room. You literally saw me holding my phone, and you were like, you know what? Let's try and get it, because now you just went back up to plus money. But that's okay. A win is a win is a win. So, Vinny in the back, if we get a goal, I want to hear the goal horn on this one. Hopefully, we don't hear much of it. What do they want me to bet, Dave?
32.5 you can take with the Washington Wizards. You want it?
No, I do not want it. That team is one such crap. I don't want it. I'm going to come back and ask Dave something. I think you've seen a lot of football. I've never seen this before, Dave. We'll talk about it after this.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back in. In-game live rolls on a Thursday night. Spitting statistician Dane Martinez and my consigliere Dave Sharapan. You know, Dave, I love that you smile every time I say consigliere because you know I'm one of the few people who actually pronounce it right for you. But here's what I wanted to ask you.
What's feeling
up? With meaning and feeling every time you say it. For sure, brother man. Here's what I wanted to ask you. Now listen. And I'm not trying to go on an ego trip or anything or pat ourselves on the back or anything like that. You and I, we've seen a lot of football in our day. We know a lot about football, okay? I kid you not. On Sunday, I saw something. I heard something that I've never heard before in my life. I truly did not know about the NFL, okay?
Oh, boy. What was it?
The Eagles are tush pushing, right? Washington jumps off sides 2, 3, 4 times in a row, right?
Yep.
Did you hear the ref there? Did you hear the ref? The ref literally said, if this kind of behavior continues, we are just going to award the Eagles a score. Dave, I didn't know that rule was on the books. I didn't know that was possible. I literally had to rewind it and play it again for my wife, who knows about football as well, okay? She knows what she's talking about when it comes to football. And she was like, what was that? I said, yeah, they're literally just going to award the Eagles a score. It sounded like they were going to put Frankie Louvo in the corner on timeout because he was behaving like a bad boy. I didn't get it. Now, on the Washington side, I get the strategy, right? Because half the distance to the goal line, I don't care. I don't care if you're on the half-yard line, the quarter-yard line, the eighth-yard line. It's worth the chance, right, to time it right, stuff the play, maybe get a false start. So I get what Washington was doing. But, Dave, honestly, did you know that they could have just been like, you know what? F it. We're going to award Philly a score? I've never heard that in my life, Dave. Have you?
In my life, I'm 54 years old, and I've watched a lot of football, both in books, out of books, growing up, hanging out. My wife and daughter were at the Fraggle Rock live performance at the Smith Center here in Vegas. Fraggle Rock is back.
Yeah.
Okay. So they
Where
went.
Gobo Wimbley Boomer Red.
How do you know everything like this stuff? I mean, seriously. But the announcement came, and then Pereira got on and said, it's called a palpably unfair act. And then Hockey sounds like a lawyer, which I don't know if he is or isn't, but he sure damn sounded like one. Washington has been advised to not do that again, or we're going to award a touchdown. I rewound it. I recorded it. I posted it on my social at SportsBK and said, I've never heard this before in my life. Now, that was good, okay? I was like, wow, but I'm going to come right back at you because you can handle everything, and you always get stuff thrown at you with the kid, with the wife, and everything else you got going on the golf course. There is something called blended time that happened in the AFC Championship. You were running the clock down to the 2-minute warning, and it was going to go. The play clock was on 0-0 at 2:01. And Nance and Romo went, well, it's just blended time. And Romo went, oh, yeah, blended time. Have you ever heard of blended time? We had a palpably unfair act and then blended time in the same day on a Sunday? Never heard that before.
Absolutely wild. No, I'm with you. And to be honest, what was weird to me, and when I rewound it, is when I found this out. Like you said, whoever was in the booth, Gene Steratore, whoever it was, the play before, when they were going to give them the unsportsmanlike conduct 15 yards, right? When still it didn't matter because it's half the distance. He in the booth was like, they could actually award Philly the score. So it wasn't like it was something that, Hockey League just kind of did by himself out of nowhere. You know what I mean? So that was interesting to me as well. I thought it was really weird. I'd never heard it before, but you get smarter on AFC, NFC Championship Sunday. Here's the other thing, because it relates to a play I wanted to ask you. I am on one prop on the Philadelphia run game side that I wanted to bounce off you as well. They're hanging, but I can't get it on any of these sites. I may need you to be a proxy for me in like Southgate out there where they got, stacks and stacks of props. There is number of Philadelphia Eagles to get a rushing attempt in the game. They're hanging the number at 4 on the number. And I like the under in that, okay? I believe Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts, and Kenneth Gainwell are the only Eagles who are going to carry the rock for the Philadelphia Eagles. Some teams do your little end arounds and all. Philly doesn't do that a lot. Some teams are now in vogue, like on 4th and 1, putting the tight end in motion, doing the tush push with the tight end. You've seen that with Tucker Kraft in Green Bay. You've seen it with Mark Andrews in Baltimore. The Eagles are not doing that. I like that a lot. Number of Eagles to get a carry in the Super Bowl. They're hanging it at 4 on the number. I like the under in that one.
They don't run any plays for the wide receiver ever on those.
Not like that.
Okay.
There's no end arounds to A.J. Brown. This is not the I wouldn't do it on the Chiefs side. Okay, I wouldn't do it on the Chiefs side. I really wouldn't.
Right.
Okay, but no, the Eagles are not one of these offenses that do it. And the part I like is they're not hanging 3.5, Dave. They're hanging 4 on the number. So even if I'm wrong and they break tendencies and they do that, I push.
Okay. We'll have to check around on that. I'm going down to the Westgate tonight to get the thing of props. I will look and see what the number has. That's good to know. There's a lot of things like that I think you have to look at that is kind of different. And, we talked about it with Kush, and we'll talk about it later. There's props available because it's the last game, because it's the Super Bowl. You can't go and overeat. You can't. But you can go and pick specialty items off the menu. I like what you're doing there. I like that.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Well, wait a second. What's happened in this one? Dave, it's 3-1 Ottawa? It's 3-1 Ottawa all of a sudden? How'd that happen?
I don't know. I wasn't looking. I don't know. We're talking about props.
I know.
Obviously,
we're
they
like
scored the
second
goal.
intermission, and it's 3-1 Ottawa. Did Ottawa score twice in the last 2 minutes of the second period?
Looks that way, sir. Yes, they
Well,
did.
that's unfortunate.
Last
That's
2 minutes,
really
back-to-back goals, a shorthanded goal on a penalty shot, and then came back and scored a goal right after that. So they got all the momentum.
That's unfortunate. Forget the momentum. That doesn't help my under 4.5, though. You know what I'm saying?
No,
it certainly doesn't. We'll turn our attention real quick to some top 25 action on college basketball to finish up hour number 1 right here on In Game Live.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back in, everybody. In Game Live rolls on here on a Thursday night. Dane Martinez and my consigliere, Dave Sharapan, wanted to go on over because these games in the NBA are blowouts right now. You got Cleveland and the Lakers up by a ton in that one. So we'll put a pin in on that. We'll go back to the NHL because we're going to have our guy, George Kurtz, join the show a little bit later on at the start of the next hour. He's going to get us everything we need on ice. But I wanted to touch to you about college basketball real quick. Two games in the top 25 tonight. Illinois is at Nebraska. Then a little bit later on, Memphis at the Green Wave of Tulane. Dave, generally at this part of the season, when I see ranked team on the road in conference as a favorite, that is a fade spot for me in general. And those are the two spots I was talking about. Illinois at Nebraska laying 3.5. And then a little bit later on, tipping in about 5 minutes, Memphis laying 7.5 at Tulane. I look right now, and what do you know? It's very, very early, but Nebraska is up on Illinois. And that's the kind of thing that happens. It's tough to go on the road in conference, especially, you know, when you're a ranked team. And Illinois, it's not like they're the number 3 team in the country. They're number 17, right? So I think this is a place they could get tripped up. And I'm certainly not going to lay the 3.5. And what do you know? Nebraska is up. I think that's a rule of thumb I like, especially at this part of the conference schedule.
I agree most of the time, but if you look a little deeper at Nebraska, I mean, I don't know how many teams there are in the Big Ten now. I think it's 18. They're like the bottom of the Big Ten right now.
Sure.
And on a 6-game losing streak, I think 4 and 6 in their last 10. You look at every reason to take them as a home dog, but I'm thinking we reverse it and take Illinois when they're down and them to come back and win. Now, winning on the road has become really, really hard. It always has been hard in college basketball, but only really good teams seem to do it anymore. I mean, the SEC is crazy. The
that Kentucky
Big Ten
game
crazy.
earlier in the week. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So it's really, really difficult to win the games on the road. I like Illinois in that one. Ohio State already went to Penn State and won tonight. There's another Big Ten matchup later that we can address. Oregon and UCLA. Think about that. That's a Big Ten matchup now.
I know. It's hysterical.
So it's ridiculous. But UCLA is going to win that game. They're going to win that basketball game.
They are. Okay. Yeah. Interesting. You see it up right there, minus 180 on the money line. Would you lay the 3.5?
If I could lay 3.5 right now, I would, because the line's pretty much 4.5 everywhere you look. So it's gone up. The move was on UCLA. Mick Cronin called out his guys, and they've played a lot better since. And
interesting.
It's going to be a really, I think, an under basketball game when you look at it. So it's going to be tight, and there'll probably be times where you're going, well, why did you bet UCLA? Because, you know, Oregon may be winning by 4, 5, or 6 or something like that. I don't think anybody's going to run away and hide, but another good basketball game that we can. Are you staying up late to watch late night basketball at all like you used to?
It depends. It depends on what kind of action I got on. It depends what kind of action I got on, and it also depends if it's one of my night or my wife's night to get him when he wakes up overnight, that kind of thing. We got a lot of stuff going on, to be sure. You know, you said something about UCLA Oregon, this Big Ten matchup. I got to tell you something. I went to Syracuse, right? I saw last night, Dave. Syracuse. That's the thing. Syracuse is at Stanford. Okay, it's a conference game. And then they're at Stanford, right? And on the Stanford court in the paint, you know what it says real big? ACC. I'm like, Atlantic Coast Conference, Stanford. That's the Pacific Coast, if anything. Like, it's completely ridiculous the way they are. I think we're in this weird time, if you want to know the truth. Eventually, we're just going to have like 4 mega conferences, right? They got to do away with these names. But it's hysterical. Syracuse, Stanford, ACC matchup in California. It was weird.
Can you imagine the travel? I mean, like, you play baseball, like the travel for the baseball teams, dude. It's crazy. My daughters are playing softball. We think about it all the time. They got friends playing D1. UCLA's playing in the same conference as Rutgers.
Yes.
What is
and
that?
The thing is, I get that it's all football money, right? And of course, right? But what about the women's volleyball team? You know what I mean? Do they have to make this trip? How are they doing this? You talked about your girls playing softball. How are they traveling around? Because it used to, I get that football and the TV ratings and all that obviously dominated all. But what about these sports a little bit lower down that don't have the budgets? How are they making that exact trip you're talking about, right? Like, how is USC to Rutgers a standard trip for the women's volleyball team on a Tuesday night in the middle of February? That's what I don't get. One thing I do get is that George Kurtz is going to hook us up with any kind of angles on the NHL ice, and we will do that to start hour number 2 of In Game Live on Thursday when we come back right after this.
this guy Ovechkin, how he was injured and missed all that time, and the fact that he's still on pace to pass Gretzky.
I think everybody's rooting for Ovechkin at this point in time. And I think he'll do it as well. So it's a feat that no one ever thought Scotty would be broken. It's going to be broken, and it's probably going to be broken because, he's not going to stop shooting.
Pharrell, Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
We all know MVPs don't win the Super Bowl. It's not about MVPs, man. The only MVP, fine. Win the MVP in the Super Bowl. Nobody cares about the MVP in the regular season besides people that bet on it, the actual player themselves, and their agent that's getting a cut of the bonus money. Other than that, who cares? What do you care who wins the MVP? Like I said, unless you bet on it. Right? If you bet on it, fine. Then I guess you care.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
They have a lot of hopes, and they thought last year they were turning the corner. Even early this year, they start turning the corner, and then you lose 13 games in a row.
Edmonton chipped away, got a late goal, won the game 4-3. I felt like they dominated the third period. They moved the puck on that power play. It was an exceptional hockey game. It went over the total.
Only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
What's going on, everybody? Hour number 2 of In-Game Live here on a Thursday night. Dane Martinez, the spitting statistician, my consigliere, Dave Sharapan, and we are overjoyed to have our guy now, George Kurtz, join the show. And listen, with 10 games on the NHL ice, there is nobody better to talk to. What's going on, George? How are you? It's been a long time. I've got 4 games that have yet to start so far on the NHL ice, right? They're about to drop the puck in Calgary, in Edmonton, and then we got some other West Coast games as well. What do you have on your card? Help us make some cash here late night in the NHL. What do you got?
Yeah, as far as the early slate, though, a lot of unders here. So here's someone who believes that's going to translate to the late slate. Maybe you want to keep going with the unders here, as not a lot of goals are being scored tonight. Battle of Alberta, you mentioned Calgary, Edmonton, always generally fun. All right, these they don't Calgary. I'm sorry, is playing Anaheim, not Edmonton. These are not bad. Anaheim's not the team that used to be terrible. You know what I mean? Where San Jose is in this sort of clique as well here, where they're bad, you're betting against them here. Anaheim's actually a decent team. San Jose, they're coming out of their struggles over the past couple of years. That being said, Calgary's actually a decent team that we don't talk about. They're not going to win the cup or anything here, but they've stabilized that goaltending even by trading Markstrom in the offseason. I like Calgary in this game, and once again, I like the under as well. I'm going to keep following that path tonight. I have 3 or 4 unders, and I'm not an under guy. I like overs.
Nope.
All right, so we know we win right away here. But I said I don't think there's going to be many goal scores. So give me the under in Calgary, Anaheim.
I know you got all the hockey games on all the screens and everything else down in the lair.
Thanks.
But I know for sure that you have the Islanders and the Flyers on. And I said to Dane earlier, when by the time you would come on, the Islanders will probably be winning. And I can't wait to ask George if the Islanders are going to win the game against the Flyers and hold on to the lead, which they do have a 1-0 lead right now. Or are they going to do what they've been doing more often than not this season and blowing a lead, George? Right now, in game, you got Islanders. I don't ask about the total, just the side. What do you think?
Now, it's funny. On Carver and Lisi on Tuesday, and Carver and I both said the same thing as you, right? Islanders blow leads left and right, and we hopped on Colorado at least once, maybe twice in the third period, thinking Colorado would come back and win the game, and we're getting big-time plus money here. Philadelphia is not Colorado, all right?
Nope.
And they played last night. All right, so I was on the Islanders to begin with, and I'm rarely on the Islanders, but I was on the Islanders to begin with tonight, along with the under. So, no, I'm not going to go against the Islanders. They haven't been doing that, Dave, over the last little stretch here. Listen,
Right.
the Islanders, they've won 5 straight here. They're playing better hockey, which is magical to me when they have their defensive chorus out. I don't know why they figured things out all of a sudden. I still think the Flyers are a team that might take advantage of that. They don't have the offense either. Tippett's out tonight after taking a bad hit last night. I don't feel it tonight for the Flyers here, and I'm on the Islanders pre, so I'm not going to go against it now. Hopefully, they hold on to this lead.
It's minus 400, Dane. It's a 1-goal game, and it's minus
400 with a 1-goal game.
100 with a 1-goal game. I mean, that makes your heart palpitate a little bit. Go ahead, jump in there with your next game.
Yeah, no problem, George. You said you were on some of the unders. You're on the under in Flames Ducks. I got 3 other games here, the rest of the slate in the NHL. Tell me, where are the other unders that you are looking at? Is it in Edmonton? Is it in Vegas? Is it in Seattle? And do you like Dave's Kraken hat that he is rocking today, speaking of Seattle?
Well, I like the hat. All right, I'm not going to say I like Seattle, but I like that the hat's hat's pretty sharp. All right, that's pretty sharp here. Now, listen, I bet Seattle the other night. I think that was Tuesday night as well, and I bit it there, right? I think they got beat up by Anaheim, and I knew that, all right? I just knew it as soon as they did. I'm like, this is a bad bet. The Ducks have had the Kraken number here. Listen, it happens. We make bad bets here. Seattle tonight's playing San Jose, and I mentioned San Jose is not a bad team, but should Seattle be almost 2-1 against anybody? Nope. I mean, no, they should not. So once again, I'm taking the plus money not because I love the Sharks tonight, but it's a good price, and I'm not going with Seattle here. Be a small play on the Sharks. Then maybe Celebrini tonight, Granlund, Eklund. They score some goals tonight, but it's not something I would say. Oh, I love this. But give me the San Jose Sharks tonight.
Pretty obvious, and Wetzel calls it the PP, which is the public parlay. And you've been known to be nicknamed Captain Chalk every once in a while. There's 2 games left that we haven't discussed, and the boys have the graphics done. The first one being the Edmonton Oilers against the Detroit Red Wings. Big minus money price right there, minus 260. But if that's not big enough for you, you can combine it with the game right here in my backyard about 15 minutes away. The Vegas Golden Knights, there you go, minus 285. George? Are both of the favorites winning tonight between the Knights and the Oilers, or is there a dog in there that you might entertain taking in those matchups?
You named the BP, the public parlay. I'm on it as well here. All right, so I took Edmonton and Vancouver. No big shock there. Minus 128, by the way, for those who are wondering. You can sort of add to that, by the way. You put in maybe a Connor McDavid point on a power play. Get that plus money. You can do that, and I may have done that. McDavid, I think, is going to be on a little bit of a mission now since coming back from the suspension here. So, listen, the Oilers are a scary team, all right? It's sort of like last year. If Skinner can hold on and play well, and they make the right addition at the deadline, I love some more defense for the Edmonton, they might be the team to beat out west, not Vegas. That's a dangerous, dangerous team, Edmonton, but the goaltending is always going to scare you somewhat. As far as Vegas tonight, they're playing Columbus, and Columbus, by the way, is probably the best surprise. Good surprise, not bad surprise, good surprise this year, right? We didn't expect anything from them, especially after what happened to the Gaudreau brothers when they were killed in the accident there. So it's just a great season for Columbus here, but Vegas is the better team. They lost in overtime to Dallas the other night in what was a very entertaining game versus the Stars here. So yes, I'm on the public parlay as well, Vegas and the Oilers.
Let me ask you about these games, George, because you told me that you were continuing this trend with the unders, right? And you said you would take the under in Calgary. Both of these games in Edmonton and in Vegas, I saw at 6.5. Are you expecting these to be lower scoring games as well? Because the PP may be on the home favorites with the Oilers and the Knights, but what about the totals in those games?
I mean, listen, you're taking an under in an Edmonton game. God bless you. All right, I can't do that. Yeah, I mean, if it's at 7.5, okay, it's a little different. 6.5, looking at here, it's minus 108. Minus 108. No. If it was plus, I might. If it was plus money, plus 120, maybe I think about it. But no, I'm not doing it. I can't do that. I think that's nuts. Calgary and Anaheim's more because I trust the Calgary goaltenders here. Vegas and Columbus is a little bit more interesting, and I do lean towards the under, but it's minus 122. You're paying for it, and I'm not going to pay for it. All right, for all I know, it's going to be a 4-3 game. Samsonov is in net tonight for Vegas, not Aiden Hill. Not that I think that makes a huge difference, by the way. They're sort of interchangeable there. Neither one's all that great. But I'm not paying for an under. That's something I rarely do, is pay for an under. So, no, I think the under, strategy tonight ends with Calgary.
Got it.
George, I got to ask you, we're going to keep you for another segment, and we're going to discuss the Super Bowl and stuff. But the hockey world in Utah was given 3 names to name the team. And one was questionable at best. The other one is the hockey club. And now the word on the street is that they changed it after listening to the fans. They put back in the Outlaws. They took out the
Mammoth?
Wasatch or what?
Oh,
No,
okay.
Mammoth.
This Sasquatch or Sasquatch or
That's
whatever mountain range
out.
there is.
Right. That's out. So it's Outlaws and it's Mammoth and it's Utah Hockey Club. Which one do you like?
Listen, the original 3 is like, oh, just go with the hockey club. I thought the Mammoth, blah. The Sasquatch, no. I know it's the mountain range, not Sasquatch, by the way.
Right.
No, so I would have said the Utah Hockey Club. Now that you got the Outlaws back in there, I think that's your winner. I kind of like that. The Utah Outlaws. The Outlaws tonight scored 2 goals in the second period. They beat the Edmonton Oilers 4-2. You know, I kind of like the way that sounds. I think it rolls off the tongue a little better. Outlaws 1, Hockey Club 2.
Listen, I think they should just stick with the hockey club. This coming from a guy that really thinks it should still be the Washington football team, if you want to know the truth. Right? I thought that was pretty cool myself. Listen, and you see that in soccer a lot, football club, FC, bring it over to hockey, the Utah Hockey Club. I thought it should have stayed the football team in Washington as well. So to recap, we're going under, and then we're going with the favorites in Calgary, Edmonton, and Vegas on George Kurtz's card for the late night action in the NHL. When we come back, though, I've got to see who George is on in the Super Bowl, and we'll see if we can get some props out of him as well. Dane, Dave, and George, when we come back right here on In Game Live.
This guy Ovechkin, how he was injured and missed all that time, and the fact that he's still on pace to pass Gretzky.
I think everybody's rooting for Ovechkin at this point in time. And I think he'll do it as well. So it's a feat that no one ever thought Scotty would be broken. It's going to be broken, and it's probably going to be broken because, you know, he's not going to stop shooting.
Pharrell, Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
We all know MVPs don't win the Super Bowl. It's not about MVPs, man. The only MVP, fine. Win the MVP in the Super Bowl. Nobody cares about the MVP in the regular season besides people that bet on it, the actual player themselves, and their agent that's getting a cut of the bonus money. Other than that, who cares? What do you care who wins the MVP? Like I said, unless you bet on it. Right? If you bet on it, fine. Then I guess you care.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
You know, they have a lot of hopes, and they thought last year they were turning the corner. Even early this year, they start turning the corner, and then you lose 13 games in a row.
Edmonton chipped away, got a late goal, won the game 4-3. I felt like they dominated the third period. They moved the puck on that power play. It was an exceptional hockey game. It went over the total.
Only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
What's going on, everybody? In-game live rolls on. Spitting statistician Dane Martinez, my consigliere Dave Sharapan, and George Kurtz sticking with us because, listen, I don't get the chance to talk to my man George Kurtz too much. I think last time we did, George, we were doing a Sunday night football game, Cincinnati and the Chargers. Remember that? And I think Cincinnati came all the way back in that one. We had a lot of live opportunities in that one, but I got to get your read on the Super Bowl, Kansas City, and of course the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, it's a 1.5 point spread. You're basically betting the game. And I know I know Kansas City, what they're going for, the 3 in a row. I was telling these guys in the first hour that literally there was a 6-game stretch in the middle of the season where the Chiefs' point differential was -4, and they were 5-1 in those games. They win one-score games. I get it. But, George, I think I'm on the Philadelphia Eagles in this game because I think their defense is that good. They are the number 1 defense, especially in the second half of the season. And what they did not have 2 years ago was Mr. Saquon Barkley. And I really believe that Saquon Barkley changes the narrative for these Eagles. I feel like they have answers to all the questions the Chiefs may pose on defense. I know you don't make money betting against number 15, but I think I'm on the Eagles side in this one. What are your thoughts going into the big game a week and a half out?
That second to last line you said there is one thing I was about to start with. You don't make money betting against Mahomes. That being said, I agree with everything. I agree with everything you said. All right. I was on Philadelphia 2 years ago as well when they lost to Kansas City. I mean, take everything out of it. Take Mahomes and all the other stuff out of it. Where is Kansas outside of Mahomes over Hurts?
Where are they better than Philly? Where are they better than Philly? I hear you. Yes.
But I'll give you Butker, right? He's a better kicker than Elliott. Elliott's shaky, but that's it. That is it. I mean, if these two teams play the same game, Philly should win. I can't say he has to outplay Philadelphia. Philadelphia needs to make mistakes here. So, yes, I'm on the Philadelphia Eagles. And by the way, you see what's behind me? Kills me. I want the Chiefs to win. I want the Chiefs, but I think the Eagles are going. Listen, I don't want to hear Kevin Walsh. One more tweet from Walsh going, you're watching the best team in football. Now I'm going to puke. All right. But that being said, I think it's fly, Eagles, fly. So I'm on the Eagles as well.
How about the total? We need to know about the total because I've been going back and forth. There's somebody going around Vegas betting 50 dimes a pop, trying to get this. They're betting under. Multiple guys have told me at multiple joints here in town think so, or they really believe it. I mean, 50 dimes a whack is a pretty significant bet, and the places they betted at didn't move the number. So I'm going, all right, what are we doing here? This is one of those ones where 2 years ago it was 50 was the total. I think it's going to close closer to that. So, George, you got an opinion about the total?
I'm going to go over. I'm not. It's rare at a Super Bowl that I go under. I just think, it's because we're older. And you remember all those bowls where one team just got shellacked by the other. They made all the mistakes and ended up being, 52-10. Weird scores like that. I know it's changed of late, and most of the bowls are actually closer now. Still, right now I got 48.5 here. That's 28-21. We're not going to get 28-21, 28-24. Someone's not going to get into the 30s here. I mean, listen, I think Philadelphia can do almost what they want against that Kansas City defense here. So, yes, I'm on the over. Not as big a play as probably the Philadelphia to win, but I'm on the over.
Hey, George, let me ask you something, and I'm with you. Remember, mistakes would be it. Remember, 2 years ago, Philly was up in that game. I think it was like 14-3, 14-7, and then the scoop and the score, the defensive touchdown changed it, and it was still, 35-31, a back-and-forth last team with the ball kind of game. Let me ask you this. I know there's plenty of props out there that you can bet. Are there any that you're on right now? Because, with a week and a half's time still left, things can move still, to be certain. I was telling these guys in hour number 1 that I actually think Pacheco is interesting because 2 weeks further removed from an injury, he may be a little bit healthier, and they're booking it right now like Kareem Hunt is the obvious lead back. But remember, Kareem Hunt wasn't on the roster at the beginning of the season for the Kansas City Chiefs, and people were loving what Pacheco could have done entering the season, and that's only at 20.5. I'm intrigued by that. Are there any props that are already on your card?
I've got 3 props. Listen, one, I guess I'm going to go against you a little bit here. No, not that way. Going in a different direction. I don't like Pacheco or Hunt, by the way. I don't think he can run on Philadelphia. I just don't think those guys are good enough to run. I sort of get where you're going to get 20.5. Can he? I mean, he better be able to do that, or else I don't know if Kansas City can win. That being said, where I'm going with, I don't think they can run on Philly. Pat Mahomes, 35.5 attempts. I think he's got to throw the ball left and right all day long. I think he's going to get over 40. So I'm going to go, once again, that's my favorite prop. Pat Mahomes over 35.5. I also like his rushing yards was 28.5. I'll take the over there. Same theory. If he's dropping back that many times, he's going to have to run sometimes because I think Philadelphia's going to put pressure on him. I think they're going to get there. He's going to have to move. So he seems to do that in big games. He's not Lamar Jackson, but he seems to move here. As far as what I'll call a regular prop, anytime touchdown, I mean, they're going to do a tush push. Hurts is going, and he's got the best price. Hurts is going to get in. It was minus 115, so I'm taking that. Wow, it's gone down to one. I'm shocked it's gone down. I thought it would go up. That's why I took it so early. That we wouldn't be paying as good a price here. So I'm on the Hurts anytime touchdown as well. So those are my three favorite right now. Hurts anytime touchdown. Mahomes over 35.5 attempts and over 28.5 rushing yards.
A lot of word on the street is this as far as Mahomes. The passing things are always a little extra. What do you guys think about Mahomes' rushing attempts? Because I think that Philadelphia is going to get to him and get to him a lot. He's going to run and have to, keep drives alive or just get out of bounds and not get hit. Mahomes' rushing attempts over, I believe it's 5.5. Some places have already moved it to 6.5. George, any opinion about that?
Yeah, once again, it just correlates to everything else I'm saying here. Yeah. If I think he's going to get over 28.5 and he's going to drop back 40-plus times, he's going to have to move. That Kansas City offensive line, average at best, and that might be being nice. So once again, yeah, I'm with you. I think he's going to get over those attempts.
Listen, George, I got to tell you something. I looked at the Mahomes rushing yards as well. I can't do it. You want to know why? Because a couple of years ago, I had the Mahomes rushing over. And do you remember that at the end of the game, he ran backwards 3 times in a row? I had him over 30.5. He was at 45 or 44. He literally ended the game minus 5. We think
Philly's going to win. He won't do that this year.
Minus 7, and I wound up losing it. I got PTSD. I can't go back to the well on that one, George. It's great to talk to you again. Hope all your bets hit because we're both on the Eagles side. Talk to you soon, Dave and I, when we come back right here on In-Game Live.
This guy Ovechkin, how he was injured and missed all that time, and the fact that he's still on pace to pass Gretzky.
I think everybody's rooting for Ovechkin at this point in time, and I think he'll do it as well. So it's a feat that no one ever thought Scotty would be broken. It's going to be broken, and it's probably going to be broken because he's not going to stop shooting.
Pharrell, Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
We all know MVPs don't win the Super Bowl. It's not about MVPs, man. The only MVP, fine. Win the MVP in the Super Bowl. Nobody cares about the MVP in the regular season besides people that bet on it, the actual player themselves, and their agent that's getting a cut of the bonus money. Other than that, who cares? What do you care who wins the MVP? Like I said, unless you bet on it. Right? If you bet on it, fine. Then I guess you care.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
They have a lot of hopes, and they thought last year they were turning the corner. Even early this year, they start turning the corner, and then you lose 13 games in a row.
Edmonton chipped away. Got a late goal, won the game 4-3. I felt like they dominated the third period. They moved the puck on that power play. It was an exceptional hockey game. It went over the total.
Only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Welcome back in, everybody. In-Game Live rolls on. Spitting statistician Dane Martinez and my consigliere, Dave Sharapan. Dave, going back to the NBA, that Houston-Memphis game that you were excited about is going to tip off in a couple of minutes, but I want to ask you something because we've got a prototypical In-Game Live situation developing in Utah. You guys were talking about the Utah Hockey Club. Well, the Utah Basketball Club, the Utah Jazz, they were 7.5-point dogs at home. And now, late in the first quarter, however, Utah is up 27-13. They have a 14-point lead at home late first quarter. This as 7.5-point home dogs. Right now, at the half-point spread, Utah minus 130 on the money line. Which way would you go in this situation? The NBA is inherently a game of runs, right? So I can understand if you think Minnesota comes all the way back in this game, but I got to tell you the truth. 14 points for that home team. I might be intrigued to get Utah right now plus a point or at minus 110, 115 if I think I could. Which way would you go? This is a perfect in-game live situation. If you liked Minnesota laying 7.5 on the road, you love them right now at plus 112 on the money line. They are, however, down by 14 in Utah.
It's the only way to play it. I think it's the only way to play it. Now, the hard part is that Minnesota played last night.
They did. It could be a back-to-back. It could be a scheduled loss.
Played down in Phoenix. So we got to make sure we got everybody available. I didn't look pregame at the lineups
for you.
in this one. So as long as we're good, we got Ant and we got the rest of the team playing.
Ant's playing. Randall's is playing. Randall's playing. Gobert's starting. McDaniels is playing. It looks like the normal squad. Conley is out, and DiVincenzo is out. So Conley and DiVincenzo are the two guys. The guard play is out. But Randall, Ant-Man, McDaniels, they are all in, and they are all plus minus 14 right now.
1 of 7 from 3. Minnesota is so far. And only 6 of 17 just from the field. So a completely disastrous start. Utah, on the other hand, is 10 of 18 from the field and 5 of 9
from 3.
So this game only has one way to go. Although, I would think that it only has one way to go. You could talk about the Lakers and the Wizards, and the Wizards provided zero resistance, no comeback whatsoever. They lost by 38 points. So that plus 35.5 wasn't good enough.
That's right.
So maybe plus 2.5 should be good enough. You can't lay points with Utah this early.
What about take Utah on a money line though at like minus 110? Thinking they could win the game. They could hold them off and win the game.
They're 10 and 35 on the season.
They're up by 14.
Yeah, no, you can't interest me in that. I'd only take Minnesota at this point. It's not time to take Utah. Wait for the run to close it a little bit. Take the 2.5 points with Minnesota. If they cut this lead in half, it's going to go back to maybe Minnesota minus 3.5, somewhere halfway between what the line closed. So you'll be able to get plus points on both sides, have a nice middle, and worry about, other things tonight, like your PP parlay in hockey.
Speaking about the PP, the Edmonton Oilers are off to a fast start. We are only 10 minutes in, and the Oilers have 2 goals already. The live total has gone up to 7.5 in that one. Remember, we were talking. George Kurtz came in here talking about how he was going to bet unders, and he wasn't betting any unders on the late slate. I was like, "What about the total in this one?" He was like, "Nah, I can't do it." Well, it's probably good that he didn't because we're already up to 7.5 in Edmonton and Detroit. On the flip side, Anaheim, Calgary, that is the one where he said he would entertain the under. They are still scoreless midway through the first,
and it's down to 4.5.
It is.
So Calgary's on a power play. If they don't score here, the over 4.5 is going to be a much better price because right now I got minus 180 at one place, minus 190 at another place. So it's almost like the guy's assuming a goal here for Calgary. If they don't score on the power play, it goes to 4.5, minus 120, minus 110 even on the over. Worthy of a look there. Anaheim gives up goals in bunches. So I'm with George there. I think over 5 would be over 4.5 to get to 5 to be the winner. Probably a good number. Wild shut out the Canadians 4-0, by the way.
Oh, they
I'm glad
did?
we didn't do that one. Yeah.
I'm glad we didn't do that one either. We are now locked in that Calgary game, so we'll see what happens here. Maybe we've had a power play goal. Maybe they're just adjusting because there is a power play. We will check in on that, and we're also going to see the beginning of this Houston Rockets-Memphis Grizzlies game when we come back right here, Dane and Dave on In Game Live.
this guy Ovechkin, how he was injured and missed all that time, and the fact that he's still on pace to pass Gretzky.
I think everybody's rooting for Ovechkin at this point in time. And I think he'll do it as well. So it's a feat that no one ever thought Scotty would be broken. It's going to be broken, and it's probably going to be broken because, he's not going to stop shooting.
Pharrell, Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
We all know MVPs don't win the Super Bowl. It's not about MVPs, man. The only MVP, fine. Win the MVP in the Super Bowl. Nobody cares about the MVP in the regular season besides people that bet on it, the actual player themselves, and their agent that's getting a cut of the bonus money. Other than that, who cares? What do you care who wins the MVP? Like I said, unless you bet on it. Right? If you bet on it, fine. Then I guess you care.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
They have a lot of hopes, and they thought last year they were turning the corner. Even early this year, they start turning the corner, and then you lose 13 games in a row.
Edmonton chipped away. Got a late goal, won the game 4-3. I felt like they dominated the third period. They moved the puck on that power play. It was an exceptional hockey game. It went over the total.
Only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Welcome back in. In-Game Live continues. Dave, you're so right. There's a reason you're sharp. It's now a 7-point game in Utah. It was a 14-point game in Utah a mere 2 minutes ago. Now, last time I checked, now it's a 6-point game, 31-25 Utah. Okay, so what was a 14-point lead for the Jazz is now a 6-point lead for the Jazz, and what do you know? The Minnesota Timberwolves are now laying 2.5 points. But that's the thing in the NBA, right? That's why I actually think it's great opportunities for live betting in the NBA, because inherently the NBA, basketball in general, is a game of runs, and if you can take advantage of it, you are never dead down 10, down 15 in the NBA.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, there's a great stat that I always look at as we go through. Obviously, when the threes are drastically not falling in the today's NBA, that's one you got to look at. But I love looking at the biggest lead. And Utah, the biggest lead of the game was 15 points. That's the perfect time to jump in on the other side because they're not winning this game by 15 points. It's not happening. So when the line flips, especially on, like I said, on that favorite, we're good to go. Now, just make sure that everybody's playing the shooting percentage. They made a couple more threes. That's good. They're coming back.
Yeah, that positive progression.
Yeah. Vinny, if you can, hit the goal horn real quick, please, because we got
What do we got?
4-4. It's 4-4 in Ottawa in the Capitals. I mean, you want to talk about a game that if you were just watching that in game, it's been back and forth. Then Ottawa got a 2-goal lead. The price on Washington had to be absurd. And now Ovechkin got a goal, wrist shot from the point, went in, and then the Capitals just tied it 4-4. Who got it? Strome. So now, I mean, the total's off. Dane, you remember how we used to look at the totals as they were getting ready to go under the 5-minute mark?
Yes.
They're taking them off sooner and sooner in the games that are 2 goals or more, because they're pulling the goalie earlier now than they ever have in the history of hockey. Right? It's crazy. Betting unders will really get your blood going because you dead under. It's 3-1. It's supposed to end.
Yeah, you get more empty net goals.
They get 2 now, though. They get 2 empty net goals. So the Bucs defense is to take it off. So we have to keep an eye on games now. Before, it used to be the 3 to 4 minute mark. Now at the 5 minute mark, some books are taking a total off. Just be aware of that going forward.
Cool. I wanted to go back real quick to the college basketball. You were telling me how bad Nebraska was, and I was telling you I don't like teams with parentheses next to their name on the road in conference. What do you know? We're getting to the end of the first half in Nebraska, and the Cornhuskers are still up. They are up by 7 now. Last I checked here, I've got Nebraska 38, Illinois 31. Remember, Illinois came into this one as a road 3.5-point favorite. Now they are 3.5-point live dogs. As Nebraska is up by 7, they are now laying 3.5, minus 180 on the money line. Also, I told you about Memphis as the number 19 team in the country. They were laying 7.5 on the road in conference in Tulane. This one is earlier in the game, but the Green Wave are up at home against the ranked Memphis Tigers 20-17. So what I was talking about holding true in both examples in the top 25 tonight. Now, I don't know. Nebraska may, piss it away. They absolutely might. But the team that was 3.5-point favorites are now 3.5-point dogs. You could have yourself a 7-point middle if this winds up as a close game in this one. But Dave, I'm telling you, going on the road in conference in these kind of doldrum times of the conference season, I do not like laying points with a team like that.
Yeah. So far, you're looking right. I will say they're 3 of 17 from 3. Illinois.
Same kind of 3 regression.
3 of 17. So they're not even bashful or trying to change anything. They keep chucking it up. I don't know if that's good or bad. That's the difference in college now. They keep shooting that. So live by the 3, die by the 3. They may die tonight. The biggest lead for Nebraska is 10-0 or 10 points. And Illinois has not had the lead yet. So I don't think somebody wins wire to wire. I don't. That usually does not happen. So I'm looking to take Illinois. Again, sometimes I put on those listening glasses. Sometimes I look through things and see different things. Maybe I'm looking through the wrong glasses thinking Illinois is the side because this has been a bad – I mean, they are out rebounding them 26-17, but there's 6 turnovers for Illinois versus 1 turnover for Nebraska. I'd almost say Nebraska played almost a perfect half. I don't think they're going to do that in the second half. Maybe they're going to blow them out. I'm looking to take 4.5 right now with Illinois.
All right, fair enough. By the way, we are now at a 3-point Utah Jazz lead as we start the second quarter. So Minnesota came back. We may have identified it at the perfect time, right? When it was like a 13, 14-point game. We told everybody that is why you watch In-Game Live for the second screen experience. We're telling you right there, you may have caught it at the perfect time. You may have gotten Minnesota at the best possible time. Prototypical In-Game Live kind of situation. So we'll see about that one. Utah now up by 3, 33-30. We are underway in Memphis in a battle of the number 2 and 3 teams in the Western Conference. Very early on in that game, I'm going to be very interested to see the Houston Rockets defense, which is one of the best in the league, against the scoring of Memphis and against the fast pace of the Memphis Grizzlies. There is one other game. I don't know if anybody out there, any of the bag men are talking about this one. Yeah. The late game in the association, Orlando and Portland in this one. Orlando road 5-point favorites, one of the longest road trips possible in the NBA, going from Orlando all the way to the Pacific Northwest. Do you guys got any leans out there in the desert on that one?
No. Again, I'm looking to take the points, but again, taking the points with the bad teams used to be a recipe for at least covering and getting to the window sometimes. The Lakers closed 8.5-point favorites and won by 38. Right. The Magic, a 500 team, kind of surprising. But Portland is bad, man. I don't
they
think
beat Milwaukee at home earlier in the week.
I know. You want Portland in this spot? I don't.
I don't. 212.5 is pretty low these days in the NBA for a total, though. That's what I see that one at. Although Orlando is one of the better defensive teams in the league. I wonder, though, if Portland Listen, I was surprised. I was on Milwaukee in that game earlier in the week. Damian Lillard coming back there, kind of revenge aspect on that one. And he did play well, but I thought Milwaukee was going to win that game big time. And I was impressed by some of the young kids in Portland that they were shooting, they were scoring. So maybe they'll be able to score again. If anything, I'd be intrigued by maybe the over on the 212.5.
Magic are 9-15 on the road this season, and they only average 104 points per game, which is near the bottom of the conference.
Yeah.
They're on a 4-game road losing streak. You may have made my case there for Portland. You may have pushed me to go to
You'll take
to go
5
to
points?
Portland side. Yeah, probably. Maybe they get an early lead like, Utah just did, and it flips the line, and then maybe you can take a plus 4.5 with Portland and maybe catch plus 3.5 or 4.5 with Orlando, and then you can kind of sit back, enjoy the game, hope it falls in the middle.
All right, fair enough. Listen, we're going to have our guy, the raging redhead Cam Stewart, come on in. I love talking to my guy, Cam. There is plenty of things I want to ask him. For example, the Calgary Flames were at home. They were minus 175 favorites. They are down a goal late in the first period. You can now get them at plus 125 live. Cam, nod for me if you think that is a play. The Calgary Flames down live. Ooh, I get no out of Cam. We don't like that. Cam Stewart and George Kurtz on opposite sides on that one. Got to get Cam's thoughts on the Super Bowl. And then I saw something that, we're at Pebble Beach. I got to ask Cam about this. They were telling me that they haven't had a hole-in-one at Spyglass since 2017. And then today, the Irish Bear goes ahead on number 7 and gets himself an ace in round 1 of the tournament. I know Cam's got a 6-pack for me on that as well. We find out. The Raging Redhead joins us after this on In Game Live.
This guy Ovechkin, how he was injured and missed all that time, and the fact that he's still on pace to pass Gretzky.
I think everybody's rooting for Ovechkin at this point in time, and I think he'll do it as well. So it's a feat that no one ever thought Scotty would be broken. It's going to be broken, and it's probably going to be broken because he's not going to stop shooting.
Pharrell, Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
We all know MVPs don't win the Super Bowl. It's not about MVPs, man. The only MVP, fine. Win the MVP in the Super Bowl. Nobody cares about the MVP in the regular season besides people that bet on it, the actual player themselves, and their agent that's getting a cut of the bonus money. Other than that, who cares? What do you care who wins the MVP? Like I said, unless you bet on it. Right? If you bet on it, fine. Then I guess you care.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
They have a lot of hopes, and they thought last year they were turning the corner. Even early this year, they start turning the corner, and then you lose 13 games in a row.
Edmonton chipped away, got a late goal, won the game 4-3. I felt like they dominated the third period. They moved the puck on that power play. It was an exceptional hockey game. It went over the total.
Only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Welcome back in. Everybody, In-Game Live rolls on a Thursday night. The spitting statistician Dane Martinez, my consigliere. Take the cannolis, okay? Dave Sharapan and the raging redhead Cam Stewart joins us now. Cam, before we went to the break, George Kurtz was with us with the public parlay talking to me about Edmonton, Vegas, and Calgary. Calgary is down 1-0. That usually is an opportunity to hop back in on the Flames, the better team at home. But you say no. Quack, quack, Cam.
Quack, quack, quack. We watched last night the video of the Duck beating the drums with his feet. It was unbelievable. I'm like, I like Anaheim. They've actually been good. Dave knows this too. They're a gritty hockey team. You know what I mean? Yep. And Calgary, they're overachieving right now, Dane. I love George Kurtz, but his game calls him Captain Chuck. You got 9 favorites for me tonight, George. And it's like, yeah, okay. And I'm kind of the opposite of George. I take too many dogs. He takes too many favorites. So that's just the way it is. But no, I think Anaheim's in a good spot. Like, I'm not going to wait. Maybe if Anaheim goes up 2, we can get Calgary at a number. But I'm already on Anaheim pregame as a big dog. But I'm wrong in the other game. I took Detroit plus 1.5 against Edmonton, and we're down 2. But all these teams down 2 goals, Dane, if you can get 2.5 with very little juice, Dave knows this, it wins more than it loses. I'll take a shot with the Flyers. The Islanders are known to blow leads, so I'll take plus 2.5 with Philadelphia live. And they had a 3.5 with Detroit, but the juice was 80, but they have 2.5 plus 145. I will take that. And they're only down 2-0. They get the next goal, we could be in business right there. I agree with you 100% on basketball. Give me the Portland Trailblazers getting 5 at home. They've been covering numbers on their home floor. Dane, we have a lot in common too, me, you, and Gabe. Raptors, all they do is make us money as dogs, and the New York Knicks are putting money in people's pockets. We're friends.
The Knicks
are
scoring like 140 a game, Cam. It's hysterical. It's absolutely ridiculous.
What happened to this team?
My guys on the text chain here in the New York area, we're loving this. My problem, though, Cam, Thibodeau is going to run these dudes into the ground, Cam. That's my problem. It looks great in January when we're scoring 140, but I need Josh Hart, I need Brunson, I need Bridges, I need OG. I need them to still be able to do their thing in April and May and maybe even into June. And Thibodeau, they are 5. The starting 5 for the Knicks are all in the top 10 in minutes played in the NBA this season so far.
Oh, it's crazy. No, it's load management time. Like, you can't do this because they're playing so damn good. Thibodeau's crazy. Like, at the end of the game, they're killing the Nuggets. He's going absolutely nuts. I'm like, dude, you're up 12. Like, relax. He's, man, that guy's a live wire.
Brunson, take a seat, please.
Exactly.
Let me ask one question before you geek out. Before you two geek out with this golf, this simulated golf talk and everything else.
Amazing. I'll bet the Little League World Series if there's an edge. Dave.
I know.
I agree. I'm with Dane.
Do you want to do a duck-to-duck parlay? Because you mentioned the Anaheim Ducks. Ooh. You got a basketball game late. It's a Big Ten matchup that used to be Pac-12 after dark. Oregon at UCLA. Oregon getting 4.5 points, not quite 1.5 goals. But, this is a quack. You do the quack as good as anybody. Any interest in the Ducks or UCLA?
Dave, I got to be honest with you. I'm looking at that game going, I don't know. I don't want to lay 5 with UCLA. Cronin's got them playing, like he's a little bit angry. I would lean to Oregon in this spot, but I don't love the game. I'll get Gabe's opinion on this one, too. I got a lot of hockey action going on. As you know, golf all over the board. We clipped a couple each way top 5s today on the different courses with my boy Rasmus Højgaard. It's funny. He's a Dane, and I'm working with Dane Martinez. Gotta love the Danes. They've been very, very good to me. Very good to me. And Brady Cannon, once again, all over the leaderboard. Victor Hovland, this guy used to be a 10-1 player. Because he's in a slump, he gets him at 70. What's he doing? He's in second place in this damn golf tournament because he plays really well at Pebble. So that's the whole thing, the overreactions to equipment changes, guys in the slump. Sometimes you just got to get some home cooking and play on tracks that you love. Horses for courses, as they say.
Hey, Cam, all right, so let me tell you about this. I want to hear some of your plays for Pebble Beach, but you referenced it, right? The TGL. It's an interesting product. I got to tell you, I think they're onto something, okay? 3 guys, alternate shot in the front 9. Then they play an extra 6 holes, kind of, heads up, Ryder Cup kind of style. 2 things I will tell you. One, if you're watching the front 9, you can tell who's playing well. Okay. You can tell, like, for example, on Monday, Tom Kim was crushing it, sinking 25-foot putts, putting them within 2 feet. And then you can get them heads up and the back, not the back 9, but the back 6, right? And they're hanging either golfer to win the hole at like plus 430. Okay, they're basically assuming that the hole is going to be halved every single time. But I was riding Tom Kim. Also, the Tiger team has Kevin Kisner on it. Dude is not as good as the rest of the guys in this league.
There's a reason they put him behind the mic.
Absolutely, right?
I think Kevin Kisner all day long.
Here's
You know the crazy thing about Kisner is he used to be like a guy that almost won majors, Dane, but now you're right. Like, I'm looking at all these other guys. Like, no, Kisner.
Not anymore. Not going against like Morikawa. Not going against like the guys he's going. But here's the other one, okay? You can bet who to win, but they're hanging props on this, Cam, okay? They are hanging, I kid you not, on the back 9 or back 6 when they're going heads up. They are hanging longest drive, okay?
Amazing.
And literally, it was on Monday, it was Rory against Tiger. No, Tiger Woods is not out driving Rory McIlroy, right?
Any price.
Here's the thing, though, Cam. They hung it at like minus 350, okay? But
parlay it.
They played 6 holes. They were up against each other in hole 10 and on hole 13. Yes, Cam, they let you parlay the 2 together. So I had Rory to outdrive him in hole 10, Rory to outdrive him in hole 13. Bing, bang, boom. Got me to like minus 125. I kid you not. I took everything I had in my account and I put it on it. Literally, my wife is watching me and I'm like, on bated breath, right? In hole 13 on the drive. And she's like, why are you caring so much? I was like, listen, they got this drive. All we need to do is see Tiger Woods take the next shot because then he is away. Guess what? He was. And you even had audio of it. It was like a par 5. They come out of commercial break. He's talking to Charlie being like, should we lay up on this hole or not? You heard Tiger saying they thought he might lay up on the hole. No, he's not out driving Rory McIlroy. I digress. When we come back here on In Game Live, Cam, we only got a couple minutes left. I got to hear what you are on when it comes to the Super Bowl, okay? I don't get a chance to talk to you much. I got to see if you got any props on the card, if we are in simpatico, because if we are, I am running to the window to click submit. That's how we are going to wrap up this edition of In Game Live. The consigliere, the raging redhead, and the spitting statistician. We'll be right back.
This guy Ovechkin, how he was injured and missed all that time, and the fact that he's still on pace to pass Gretzky.
I think everybody's rooting for Ovechkin at this point in time, and I think he'll do it as well. So it's a feat that no one ever thought Scotty would be broken. It's going to be broken, and it's probably going to be broken because he's not going to stop shooting.
Pharrell, Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
We all know MVPs don't win the Super Bowl. It's not about MVPs, man. The only MVP, fine. Win the MVP of the Super Bowl. Nobody cares about the MVP of the regular season besides people that bet on it, the actual player themselves, and their agent that's getting a cut of the bonus money. Other than that, who cares? What do you care who wins the MVP? Like I said, unless you bet on it. Right? If you bet on it, fine. Then I guess you care.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
You know, they have a lot of hopes, and they thought last year they were turning the corner. Even early this year, they start turning the corner, and then you lose 13 games in a row.
Edmonton chipped away. Got a late goal, won the game 4-3. I felt like they dominated the third period. They moved the puck on that power play. It was an exceptional hockey game. It went over the total.
Only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, we're wrapping up an in-game live. It is my honor and privilege, as always, to be chopping it up with my consigliere and the Raging Redhead. You know I love you guys. I absolutely love you guys. And so, Cam, let me get you on the record. I don't get the chance to talk to you all the time. I got to tell you something. I know you don't make money betting on against the Chiefs. I know 15 and 87 have a rabbit's foot in their pocket. I understand that. But honestly, Cam, I think Philly's the better team. I think Philly has a better defense. I think Saquon Barkley is the trump card, and the Eagles were winning that game in the first half 2 years ago until a scoop and score put Philly back in it. I really think Philly is better pretty much all around the field, Cam.
We're in agreement, Dane. I think Philly wins by margin. I was on with Pat Mayo today. I'm going to do alternate spreads, like -2.5 up to -9.5.
Yeah.
I'm dead serious. I think they can win this game by 10 points, Dave. I think the Kansas City teaser might blow up. I'm dead serious. I think Philly. I think Philly's going to get to Mahomes.
I think their defense
Jalen Carter is a killer.
I think their defense,
Carter and that front four. If they get pressure on Mahomes, you can dance all you want. The Bills got no pressure on these guys. They have all sorts of guys, and their defensive players are killers. Hurts is fine. Barkley is a running game. They used to have friggin' Boston Scott run the ball for these guys. We're talking like a 1 to a 10. Like, what's the difference here? And all their fill-in guys, I know they have a couple injuries on the offensive line. I don't care. I'm all in on Philadelphia. I had to pay for my squares for the Super Bowl bar bets. I bet a guy $500. He gave me 3 points. So I'm like, you want?
Wow.
He goes, I'll give you 3. I go, I'll take it.
3?
Yeah. He goes. Kansas City's going to win by 14.
I'll lay the 2.5. Also, I like that.
The guy gave me 3, and I go, he goes, Kansas City by like 17. I go, how about Philly by 10? You want to give me 3? I'll take it. And let's go. Write it down in the
Before
book.
you get
Super
out of
Bowl
here,
bets. Yeah.
The Super Bowl MVP is an interesting bet, and we got a great graphic that shows it. And Dane asked everyone that was on earlier, would you take Saquon or would you take Hurts to win the MVP if you like Philly? Because I really think that's a hard bet. I don't know if you want to get too cute or just take Philly on an alternate spread.
I don't know. I'm going to do that, Dave, and I don't know who to pick out of them, but Barkley's I still think is going to have a big game. Know what I love? Jalen Hurts. It was even when it first came out, anytime touchdown with the tush push. I would lay that thing up to $160, Dave. I think that line is low, and Saquon is already -220 on a lot of my books here. So you can still parlay it, but I'm telling you, Jalen Hurts at that price is a sell. It is a buy for me. And I'm telling you, I love it. Like, I think that's an incredible price.
I like it, too.
I like Philly, Dave, outright in this game, and I'm leaning under. I know a lot of people over. I think it's going to be long. I don't think Kansas City's offense is going to, you know what, Dave? I'm going to actually take their team total under as well.
Under.
I don't think they're going to score.
If you're on the Philly side like me, let me tell you one prop that I'm trying to find that I'm on. They've got it where Dave is in the desert. Under 4 Eagles to get a rushing attempt in the game. They're hanging it as 4 on the number. It's Hurts, it's Barkley, it's Gainwell. That's about it. They don't do end arounds. They don't do other stuff like that. I think it's just going to be those 3 guys. But Cam, you talked about the tush push. Let me ask you something. I asked Dave this at the beginning of the show. You've watched a lot of football in your life. Have you ever heard a referee say, like he did on Sunday, if this behavior continues, we're just going to award Philadelphia a touchdown?
Yeah, it was ridiculous. The whole game, that Washington game, I'm just sitting there going, like, what has football become? I think it's nuts. And the thing that really pissed me and Gabe off when we were talking about, the Bills are trying to do they should be able to do that thing. And Josh Allen should be able to go for 5 yards, and they can't do it. Philadelphia has mastered the art of the tush push. Let them do it. Buffalo, man, they got out of their system, and it really sucked. I hope Philadelphia kicks the Chiefs' ass. That's just me. And, I'm all in on Philadelphia. Sorry, I'm just going to tell the truth, Dave. I'm not going to lie. I hope they win by, I hope they kill them. Don't even win by
I think they are a better team. I think, in essence, this Philadelphia offense, if they are playing correctly, they have answers to whatever questions the defense poses for them. And I'm with you. Jalen Carter in the front and in the back end, these 2 young kids, Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean in the back, they can get it done as well. I understand the narrative on Kansas City. I hope everybody takes their paychecks, cashes them, and puts them on Kansas City. Maybe I'll be able to get 2.5 and maybe a full 3, but we shall see.
Crazy.
Dave, by the way, Minnesota is now up in Utah 52-47, so we did probably catch that at the best time as usual. Listen, guys, it is awesome to be on the grid with you guys as always. For my man, the Raging Redhead Cam Stewart, and for the consigliere, legendary Dave Sharapan. I am merely the spitting statistician, Dane Martinez. Hopefully, we got you paid on some of these games, whether it was on the ice, whether it was college basketball, where the team with a number in parentheses on the road in conference does not win, or if it's one of these games in the NBA. That's why you use this as a second screen experience. We will see you next time right here. Yeah, man. Longest drive, Cam. Get her done. We'll see you next time here on the grid.
That's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring